Welcome to Body of Light, episode 18. My name is Nicolas Elumen, and I am the creator of the Body of Light documentary film series exploring the Tibetan rainbow body and light body phenomena, as well as many other topics related to Eastern practices and spirituality coming to the West, how to integrate different meditation, spiritual, yogic traditions, practices into the West for Western people who live a Western life, and much, much more. So thank you for anyone who is just tuning in now or who has been watching any of the episodes, any and all. Please feel free to comment on any of the episodes. Comment here. I'd love to know your thoughts. This whole project has just been a big, curious experiment, for I realized a lot of the questions I had to and about the rainbow body and light body I just couldn't find in books and online and in videos. So I decided to reach out to some people and ask them the questions, and now here we are, 17 episodes. I've interviewed 17 amazing people, we can say professionals, masters of their field, of what they do, of what their art and expression and service is to the world. And I've asked them all different questions around the Tibetan rainbow body, light body, and how do Westerners engaged in the Western world, on a spiritual path, use, incorporate, blend, and merge Eastern meditation yogic practices that work, that seem to have a positive effect, and integrate them into our life and our reality and our realm living in the West as parents, as workers, as artisans, as laborers, people living in cities like New York, or people living in the middle of the country in Alabama farming. How can we take these practices that seem to result in a rainbow body or light body and integrate them into our life? I like to just give some reflections and some thoughts on what it's been like for me to talk to these 17 people and go from there. For this episode 17 with Dr. Ian Baker is the last episode I will be releasing here on YouTube. For my intention is to take these episodes plus other interviews I have aligned with other amazing people and combine it into a full-length 2-hour or so documentary film, a professional, beautiful film, taking some of these interviews from this series plus future interviews that I have lined up and creating a film. So Dr. Ian Baker's episode 17, and then this episode will conclude this project here on YouTube. So thoughts, reflections, what did I gather? What do I think about the Tibetan rainbow body and light body after interviewing all these people and having the experiences that I've had? When I say light body, so you know, the light body is representing the human phenomena of when people are either alive, near death, or at the time of death, dissolve, disappear, vanish into light. And it seems almost all spiritual traditions from around the world have some sort of light body practice. In Tibetan Buddhism, it's called the Tibetan rainbow body from the Dzogchen tradition and practices. So that's what I mean when I talk about light body. So what I've gathered, and this is all still in process, none of this is factual, this is just what I think at this moment from the information I've gathered and from what I've personally experienced, is that the Tibetan rainbow body seems to be a byproduct of how people live. The monks, yogis, yoginis, lay practitioners, whoever it is that is having a rainbow body death experience, it seems that it's a direct result of how they've lived their life. And while it seems that it could be a goal, like there's a rainbow body school in Tibet, and there's certain practices that they say lead to rainbow body, it still seems like it is something that happens as a byproduct of how people have lived. And most people, it seems, in all the different spiritual traditions of light body, spend a lot of their time, so people that have a disappear into light or shrink into Tibetan Buddhism or leave relics or what have you, or all these other phenomena, when they die, there's rainbows and there's sounds of animals and angels around and all the phenomena. It seems that many of the people that have this experience are more on the hermit lifestyle. So there's people like Kempo Acha. He was a very saintly man, in and out of retreats, spending time alone in caves or in huts, no distractions, focused on his practice, 10, 15, 20 years on and off, right? Seems a lot of these people spend a lot of time in isolation throughout their life. A lot of them are very devoted to practice, to up-practice. They're very humble, childlike, of unconditional service, love and compassion, playfulness, and focus on a practice, the principles of a practice of, like I said, kindness and love and unconditional compassion and joy, and of being of service to other people. So you have this aspect that many of them, it seems, have spent throughout their life 10, 15, 20 years in isolation, meditating, doing something. And it seems that that result of doing that for many of them leads to those qualities of love, compassion, unconditional service, and so on and so forth, which then can develop siddhis, as it's called in Sanskrit, or superpowers, or, being clairvoyant or psychic, or manifesting things, objects out of thin air, or performing miracles, walking through walls, walking on water, all these different things, right? It seems to manifest from that time in isolation in the cave, in the hut, on a retreat. Also, it seems that these people spend most of their time in nature. They don't really live in big cities. They're not really engaged with city, busy, hustle-bustle life. A lot of them are in very remote places, it seems, most of their life. And when the rainbow body or light body death phenomena practice seems to happen, it happens out in nature. So that's one thing that I found very interesting, that seems almost necessary to have this type of phenomena. But then you have people like the Mahasiddhas in Keith Dowman's book, Masters of Mahamudra, I believe is one of the titles. You have these people who have dissolved into light or disappeared, or who have had some sort of phenomena experience happen to them when they die, who have maybe spent time in retreat, but then are like parents or cobblers or artists or janitors or shoemakers. They're involved in life, but still have a rainbow body or light body death type of experience and occurrence by fully taking what they learned from their retreat, from their deep, intense spiritual practices, from being in samadhi, and then applying that to their life. And that's really something, the main thing that I've gathered, I feel personally, from this experience. Because one of my main intentions was, why do people do this? What's the point? What happens after you dissolve into light or turn into rainbows and the body disappears? Why are people doing this? Do I want to do this? This seems like the ultimate form of enlightenment. I want that. So that's where I started on this project. And now I'm realizing that if phenomena happen, great, when I die. If I get cities, whatever, cool. But it's not a goal for me. It's not a goal to dissolve into light and have disco party lights, craziness coming out of me, and have all this phenomena and animals gather and I can walk through walls. If that stuff happens, cool, but that's not a goal. To me, it's about taking these people who have had rainbow body, light body death occurrences, who do show signs of attainment, who do express unconditional love, clarity, connection to God source energy, unconditional service, using them as role models, using them as inspiration, using them as guides on how to live and how to die. As Ian Baker said in episode 17, he said, I'm touching really the essence, the heart of what it is to be human and how to live and also how to die. Taking what we learn from our spiritual practices, whether that's sitting in a cave for 10 years or experimenting with plant medicine or yogas or studying scripture and Kabbalah or making art or music, whatever your practice is that helps you connect to God's source energy and to helps you to heal and awaken. It could be endless things and anything. Whatever that practice does, whatever the fruit you gain from it, you take that clarity, that love, that joy, that appreciation, that willingness to want to serve and teach, and then apply it to every aspect of our life. Apply the fruit of your practice and your life to every aspect and corner of our existence. That's really what I've really come down to, is that is for me personally at this time the most important thing. And it seems that these different yoga traditions, meditation traditions of the East or wherever in the world, where people disappear and dissolve into light or all this supernatural phenomena happen, it seems like that's just a byproduct of how much love and joy and of service one was. Seems like that's just a natural way of going out when you have healed trauma from this current life and past lives as much as you can, done your shadow work, which is connected to that, forgiven yourself and others completely, loving yourself and others completely unconditionally, and then taking what you know and serving others and having all levels and aspects of your existence to be as pure and authentic and true to love, to joy, to all your emotions, allowing all your emotions to be expressed: anger, joy, sorrow, happy, the dark and the light, and having it be integrated so that you no longer harm yourself or others, but you're serving by creating and assisting with the creation, expansion of life rather than the destruction and holding the earth or yourself in these lower realms of darkness. When we do this, it seems like the rainbow body and the light body just naturally happens. It seems. There's masters that are amazing through stories and through time, especially in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Diogo Khyentsen Rinpoche, other great lamas, yogis, sadhus, saints, Anandamaima, Neem Karoli Baba, all these other people, they die. It's just a normal death. No supernatural, like crazy, awesome phenomena seems to have really happened per se, but it seems that they were beings of what I'm expressing, of the unconditional love, clarity, alignment. And what I've also gathered that I feel is very important is that all the different levels and aspects of our life, what we do in closed doors, how we are with people, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others, it all matters. Say you are a very giving person and of service and teaching and very loving and kind with other people, but then when you look at the mirror at night, you hate yourself. Or you're this spiritual teacher or guru and you may be helping lots of people and teaching truths, but then behind closed doors, you're sleeping with underage girls or doing drugs or whatever it is. That all matters. The whole package of our existence inside, thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, outside, how we express ourselves, how we act, the whole package seems to matter. And when we go over lifetimes, if that's a thing, lifetimes, this lifetime, when we heal trauma, have some sort of spiritual practice that assists us with healing trauma and awakening the different energies of our bodies, purifying and mastering our mind, emotions, knowing how they work, loving ourselves and others unconditionally, finding a practice that connects us deeply to nature, God's source energy within us and all things, and then teaching what you gather to those that want it, serving unconditionally. It seems like that's the recipe. That's the recipe to reaching or allowing this level of being a master, being an ascended master, an ascending master, being a Buddha, being a Christ, healing ourselves, awakening the energies, the different energies and channels of our body, learning how our mind works, mastering our mind, our emotions, serving, helping others unconditionally in whatever way inspires us through our art, through our service, and then having the whole package of our being as best as we can, being in integrity and purity and as saintly as we can. It doesn't mean we can't make mistakes. It doesn't mean we're not an in-progress work. Of course we are. We're always learning. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. There's always something more I can do better or grow or heal. Of course. But that path, I feel, is never ending. And it's the fact that we're on that path and we're dedicated to that path. This seems like the recipe to being a master, a being that is similar to these beings that are showing signs of rainbow body and light body. So there's no one way of getting to this state, allowing this state. Find healing. Find a way to awaken the dormant energy in your mind and your body. Learn how your mind and body works. Forgive yourself and others completely. Find that love for yourself that then will express and radiate out to others. And then do whatever you love. Have a family. Do photography. Paint. Work at 7-Eleven, travel the world, help the animals, save the planet, do whatever you're inspired to do within that state of love and compassion and joy and sorrow and anger and all the feelings you have, allowing yourself to express and feel all your feelings. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel mad, frustrated, sorrow, despair. But what do we do with it? What do we do with those feelings? Do we push them away and hide from it? Or do we allow ourselves to feel all of it and then have tools to help us manage it and move it through us and use it to inspire us? Some of the greatest music of all time is from people being angry. Some of the most difficult times of our life make us the most strongest and compassionate and awakened. So allowing us to feel all of our emotions, because they're all God. They're all sacred and holy. All of it, both spectrums, the light and the dark. Joy, hate, anger, bliss, despair. It's all here and all one. It's what we do with the energy, gathering tools and practices that help us, to assist us with feeling and becoming and expressing our own unique version of masters. So taking whatever that impulse is and living out your true life's purpose. But to get there, there's these practices that seem to really work from the East. Another point I had is that sometimes these practices, it seems from the people, again, I've interviewed, that the practices that come from different meditation traditions from the East, Nepal, Tibet, India, and so on, they were designed and tailored for those people 100, 200,000 years ago even. And they work. That's why there's light body and rainbow body experiences and these beautiful saints and yogis and people. But those practices might not be right for you living in LA with 5 kids and 2 jobs. Maybe parts of it are, but we need a new face of Dharma, a new form of Dharma, of practice that is tailored to meet you, who you are, where you live at your time. So taking the yogas, the meditations, the different practices, and customizing them, usually with the guidance of a professional teacher, shaman, or guide of some sort, and integrating these practices from these different traditions, but tailoring them to suit who we are and what we need in our lifestyle now. So what is that way? And that's one of the main topics I explore, and I ask every single person that I interviewed, what is a way of Westerners to take these practices from the East, from America, from wherever, that work, and tailor them to have them assist us with our healing, awakening, and mastery of self. I ask all of them this. And I also ask them, is it possible for us to attain rainbow body and light body? And every single one of them said yes. Is it possible for Western people in the Western world engaged in Western affairs to attain the same level of mastery as these people who have rainbow body, light body experiences in the West or wherever they are? And everyone answered yes, but taking their way, how the yogi in the cave in the Himalayas, 15,000 feet up, who grew up in that culture, who lives in that culture, is his practice right for us, right for me, right for you? Maybe parts of it, maybe some of it, but to just copy it or to go on YouTube and to copy some meditation or some practice that was designed by the meditation traditions that have not been suited or altered or adjusted for the person of the West, I'd be very mindful to just take a practice that has not been adjusted to meet you and just do it. Because I did that, and I believe it harmed me in many ways that I had to then heal from and change from, just taking the practices of a monk or a yogi or a sadhu and doing those practices. But doing a practice like Dzogchen and just reading a book about it that was taught by maybe a monk who's not even a layperson, who knows nothing about living in the West, taking what he learned about Dzogchen and then applying that practice to you like I did, could have hazards and dangers. So to be very mindful there, that if you do want to practice these practices from rainbow body, light body traditions, meditation traditions from anywhere in the world, spiritual practices, yogas, to be very mindful and to find a teacher who can customize the practice to fit you, taking the essence of the practice, not altering it too much where we lose the essence of it or the lineage of it or what it's supposed to do, the fruit of it, but to tailor it just enough to fit who you are, your mind, your body, your energy, your psychology, your physiology. I feel this is very important, and that what I gathered also from this practice is to tailor your spiritual practice to fit you and who you are as a whole. And usually we need to do this with the guidance of a teacher, shaman, guide of any kind. Another thing I gathered, and I'm wondering, is the rainbow body and light body stories we hear true? Could this all just be imagination, hoaxed or made up? I see rainbow body and light body where people disappear into light or shrink or leave relics. I see it as kind of like Sasquatch in the Bigfoot phenomena world. There's all these photos of Sasquatch. Most of them aren't that great. Blurry, far away, distorted. Videos, same. All these stories of people seeing Sasquatch, having encounters with them. Footprints, right? Relics, signs that they've been around. But no one's actually taken a real high-quality photo of one, it seems, or video. There's a lot of hoaxing, and no one's seen them in a group setting where there's multiple eyewitnesses. It's usually 1, 2, maybe 5. Maybe a lot of people will hear something, but still you don't know if it's a Sasquatch. There hasn't been one walking through a big area where tons of people can see it and vet for it. One hasn't been captured. I see rainbow body and light body phenomena the same. People say they've seen and have eyewitness to the shrinking. The leaving of relics, of course, is very well known and experienced in Tibetan Buddhism. There's some video, there's some photos, but it could all be hoaxed. Even the relics, people can put some stuff in the fire before the fire burns and the body burns, right? I'm just being a little skeptical because I don't know. Do people actually disappear into light at the time of death or during life? Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen it and I've never experienced it. Does the body actually shrink in Tibetan Buddhism? Maybe. People say it does. There's a few photos of these small forearm length bodies, but the body's usually wrapped up or the head's wrapped up. You don't actually see the whole body. Could be a head chopped off, put on something, wrapped up, and who knows? It would be a lot of hoaxing. And I asked some people this, and their response was, does it matter? Maybe, because what is the outcome? What happens to the people that are remaining on Earth? And what I've heard is that it leaves a lot of devotion. The stories and the relics and the such inspire people. It gives people faith. It gives people hope. It gives people the idea of the possibility of what can be possible of a human, and tremendous faith and love for that being. So is it really important? I don't know, maybe, but I think that's very fascinating that all this can be just stories, myths, and real, could be real. But what I think would be great is if someone goes in the middle of Times Square or into the middle of the town and there's photos and videos, HD, 4K, and someone levitates and then vanishes into light. And I think that's really what would be needed. Us as Americans or Westerners or what have you, we like to figure out why things happen and have proof, but I think that would be very cool if that happens. Or having someone dying and it's recorded, the shrinking or the dissolving into light. And having scientists there and eyewitnesses and all these different things, like the Tukdum documentary, beautiful documentary that was done, where scientists and many other people were observing and collecting data while people were in a Tukdum state, sitting in meditation for a week or two, now no decay, and the body stays warm and all those things. So I thought that was very fascinating. So thank you everyone for watching. If you or someone you know is interested in funding this documentary film that I want to create, a professional full-length artistic film of taking these 17 interviews plus more interviews that I have that I will not be posting here, and creating a full-length feature documentary film. If you are interested in funding this, collaborating, or working together in some way to make that happen, please reach out to me. Email bodyoflightfilm@gmail.com. You can check out this whole documentary series and watch it and learn more about it at www.torincollective.com, and go and find the image of the body of light, or click on the tab Light Body Documentary to go there. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment with your questions and comments and ideas about what I said, and we can keep the conversation going. And if you are interested in donating to support me in this work that I release for free to the public, I would be very much appreciated. Any and all donations, the link will be below in the description of PayPal of how you can donate. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for watching, and may this information and knowledge go to all those that want to hear it and see it and need it and want it. And may all beings everywhere be happy, healthy, and free. And so it is. Thank you so much.
Energy, there ain't nobody. Illusory, transform to rainbow body. Clear light shining, calmly abiding. Great perfection, rainbow body. Empty, there ain't nobody. Illusory, transform to rainbow body. Clear light shining, calmly abiding. Great perfection.